For you to successfully engage what you're talking about,
Yes.
like More has said,
Yeah.
these things need to be executed when you need to start planting those seeds when these children
Are young.
young.
Yes.
When they are 4, 5, 6. I'm not saying that you're prepping them for marriage or whatever, no, but you're just prepping them for life.
You're prepping them for life, yes.
And I say life, simple things, like nguo, kufua nguo, panga,
Or even
breakfast, spending,
Yeah.
vitu ka hizo.
Yeah.
My own daughter one day came and told me, I want to talk to Uncle Ali. What did she tell you about?
Yeah. She was asking me about stocks.
Exactly.
Yeah. She
So,
was asking at
and
a
how
very
old
young
is she?
age.
12.
12 years old.
She was
13.
asking. She
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
ask about IUN.
No. She wanted to talk to Uncle Ali.
Yeah. And you see,
So
it's
those-
very important when they start at that age.
And these are things that as parents you instill. What we're talking about right now here is what you instill. You instill in them young. You instill. These are the fundamentals of life.
I'm your parent. I'm telling you, not okay. This is the way the world is shaped, and based upon the pitfalls and the holes that I walked through, this is what my advice for you is. This is the path you should take. You should go down this way. Boom, 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 boom. Any support you need, I got you. I got your back. But if a lot of times as parents, because of the way we were shaped, by our parents, where it was basically an authoritarian rule where it's like, it's my way or the highway. Basically, if you're living in my house, it's my rules. So that's how things were brought down to us, and we tend to either replicate that way, or we go the total opposite, where we just let the child go and say, I don't want my child to be the way I was raised up, so I'll let them do whatever the heck they want. And then it becomes too late, because you're back at that point where we're like, they're 20 and you can't shape.
Yes, but I think Mika brings these points that sometimes we don't see. Like, first of all, as a parent, if you're looking to help your child, especially in this kind of economy that we're living today, things were easier when we were in our early 20s.
It sure
Things
was.
were much easier.
It sure was.
Yeah, things you could work, like a minimum wage job, and still
be able to afford an apartment by yourself without a roommate,
without
and
a
worrying
roommate.
about those crazy insurance rates.
That is no longer the case. There's a 2-bedroom apartment that I used to live in before I bought my current home. And believe it or not, that 2-bedroom apartment, and they're not very far from each other, they're like 6-7 minutes from each other. That 2-bedroom apartment now costs way more than what I'm paying for my townhome. And this was 2018. 2018 is when I bought a home, and now it's costing. Now I'm like, if I'd stayed in that apartment, I would have been paying more for a 2-bedroom apartment than what I'm paying for a mortgage. So there's certain fundamentals that have significantly shifted in this US economy, and we have to be realistic about it. This thing of my son has graduated, wacha ende akajifundishe, you're sending him to the wolves. And even worse,
hiyo na nini ati sasa nataka wajukuu endo nizalie. You do not know how far back you're setting those kids.
By the way, hata hiyo story ya nendo kanizalie, I think if they're doing it in a legit way, meaning they're getting married at a young age, I think parents should be comfortable to support young couples. If it's a couple, that's maybe like 25, I'm not going to discourage people to get married young, because the shenanigans that used to happen when we were in our 20s, I think it might even be worse right now. But if a couple decides to get married young, I think parents on both sides wanafaa wakae pamoja, wajue vile watawasaidia. The village should come in.
But yes. I'll say this. For you to successfully engage what you're talking about.
Yes.
Like More has said.
Yeah.
These things need to be executed when you need to start planting those seeds when these children
are young.
Young.
Yes.
when they are 4, 5, 6. I'm not saying that you're prepping them for marriage or whatever, no, but you're just prepping them for life.
You're prepping them for life, yes.
And I say life, simple things, like nguo, kufua nguo, panga,
or even
breakfast, spending,
yeah.
Yeah. My own daughter one day came and told me I want to talk to Uncle Ali. What did she tell you about?
Yeah, she was asking me about stocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
she was asking at a very young age. 12 years old.
She was asking. She didn't ask about IUN.
No. She wanted to talk to Uncle Ali.
Yeah, and you see that it's very important when they start at that age.
And these are things that as parents you instill. What we're talking about right now here is what you instill. You instill in them young. You instill. These are the fundamentals of life. If you are, whatever you are, at one point probably you will want to cook for yourself. You have to cook for yourself.
Yes.
You have to shop for yourself. You have to know what you want. You have to understand kama ni flavor yako ya nguo. You have to understand to budget, like whatever, like understand. You don't have to go and buy a $7,000 watch.
Yeah.
When you live in a $200 apartment.
And it's very simple. When you go, if you have a child, do this experiment. Sometimes you may go out shopping and you tell them pick whatever they want. Do this experiment. Tell them you have these $30 and this is all you can spend. The things they would pick are very different from what they would pick when they know that
we're not you bring in a very strong point, Ali, because one thing that most parents don't realize, and unfortunately it comes, especially parents my age, like most of my friends, most of me and my friends right now, we have
what are you trying to say about us?
Between preteens to teenagers, like older kids, and you always want to provide everything for your life. You want your kid to have a soft life. You're buying them stuff, and you find people actually say that if I'm wearing Louis Vuitton, my kid is gonna wear Louis Vuitton. If I'm gonna do this, my kid is gonna do this. But then what you don't realize is that you are earning money and you're teaching somebody opulence from a young age.
Yes.
And the moment they start earning money themselves, they realize that you have an advantage over them because you've been working for more than 20 years. You build that nest. You have that financial capability that they never have. And you might have taught them all good money habits well, but you taught them opulence.
Yes.
You taught them that in life, unafaa kuvaa hivi na hivi kutumia hizi vitu. These are the things I'm doing.
Yes.
And guess what you've created? You've created a person who doesn't know how to budget. A spendthrift, atakuwa na waste pesa, hatakuwa na kitu yote. So I usually try to tell people who we are parenting together at this particular moment together. It's like once in a while you can throw in an expensive gift, but teach them living within your means is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, and it's very
very crucial and
in
important.
this age of social media. I remember eating life with a big spoon.
Because of social media.
Life.
Yeah, because you see what happens is that there's certain things, certain aspects that are amplified about the lives of certain people, and they post that on social media continuously. And you tend to think that this is how they're living. Now, here's the interesting thing. I mean, we've been in banking. One thing that when you're in banking, you get to know is that the people with the most money move in silence.
You don't see them.
You don't see them. Or it could be the guy, like standing right behind you in a grocery store.
I saw somebody say that money isn't loud.
Yes,
that's a true story.
You don't see them. Like you will not know. It's not like they don't have like certain extravagances on the side, but people with big money, like people who are gonna go and get into a deal worth $50 million, $100 million, just like
silence.
That. They move in silence. That's one thing that people need to understand. All this loudness of go spend this money, and this is something that mostly affects people within the black community. I see Africans with a lot of it too. And then people try to guilt trip you at huyo hapo, or he's a stingy guy. Why is he stingy? because he refused to buy you a drink that's $115. Call me stingy. Yeah.
And I know he drives what's that motor called, the Range Rover that starts with the A, Mika, ile Range.
Vela. Ile ndogo ile inakuanga na engine ya Ford.
Hapana, wacha hiyo ile range nyingine ile waga ya moto.
Yeah.
Ama tuseme Brobus. Mtu ako na Brobus lakini hawezi kukubaya drink ya so moja.
Mtu anaendesha nini inaitwanga? Unasema Overfinch.
Hata hiyo.
Si Brabus ya range ni Overfinch.
Yes.
So the point is
we have floated, but
so I think the point is if you start teaching because kids, very interesting
At
thing
5,
about
6.
kids pick up things that you do.
Yeah, they need to know
things that you do.
The piggyback, the savings account,
so
all
I
of those
think
things.
so I think, and none of us is perfect. We all have, like our weaknesses. But I think, like when you're trying to train your child, think about this way. As a trainer, your kid will mostly pick up not necessarily what you say, but what you do. So if you have those things that have not worked so well for you that you've been doing, try to do them in a way that your kids are not seeing. Na si ati unajificha, ama you're just trying to give them a better shot.
Let me give an example. It's very true. Kids will not listen to what you say.
Yeah.
They'll watch what you do.
They'll watch what you do.
Which means that what you listen to,
absolutely,
what they know that, let's say for example, if you guys are driving or if you're on your phone or whatever, if you're at home, whatever, if let's say, or even when you're talking like now, for example, and especially this habit, some kids get smart enough, they start learning Swahili. They start learning Kikuyu. They start learning your mother tongue or whatever.
They pick it up, yes.
They pick it up. So then they will listen. So whenever, if you're talking politics, and then they will feel that energy. They will understand. Your kids will understand you pertaining to certain matters.
Yes.
Political, your affiliations.
All those things.
All those
they are a combination of all those things that you constantly do.
They will get that stuff. Trust me, they will pick up.
So you can't speak in your mother tongue to hide things.
Even
at some point, you
know how I know this within our extended family.
Yes,
the people who smoke, kuvuta sigara, all of them, without a fail, had parents who are smoking. Like it is so profound. Like when we sit as cousins and we discuss, and now they're talking about not smoking in front of their kids. Is like all the ones in our group who smoke, so their parents are doing it. Yes, and it's kind of like how, was it just a coincidence?
And this goes back to
that's what shapes you.
But you see, this goes back to what sometimes, like we were talking about, we've been discussing how sometimes we isolate our kids. We want them to be Kenyan. We want them to be Kikuyu, Luo, whatever, it doesn't matter. But we go out of our way to speak our mother tongue to isolate them.
Yeah, to put
if
them,
I don't want them,
yes,
if
put them aside,
to put them aside. If I want to talk about, let's say, Ali and whatever,
that doesn't apply in our in our setup.
I was gonna say
no, that's fine.
That doesn't apply in our setup.
No, you see, Ali, you
but
guys,
it's something that I've experienced. I've seen, and I am. I am culpable.
Just hang out
culpable.
with
I am guilty as hell.
Tunaenda hizi house party.
Yeah.
You would usually see when people have kids wanakuja na watoi wanapiga story. Mkitaka kwa sengenya toka nongea Kiswahili.
Yeah, but sasa
like it's simple. It just and I think what Uno is trying to say is that instead of teaching them things like hizo languages to continue them learning the language and the culture, tunakata kuwafundisha so that we can have a way to talk about them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And this,
or have discussions that they would not understand or be involved
and this goes also now, that add on to that, like if we really want to teach them finance, we want to teach, because like Maura and Ali said, you can't teach them when they are 20.
No, that's late.
No.
That old dog.
So you start
even
early.
15, 16
no,
is already late.
No, he imeenda.
Yeah.
He imeenda kabisa.
Yeah.
You start at 8. You start at 9. You start at 7, 6.
So,
By 8
so the
you should
best
have been doing it.
So
You
the
should-
age
yes.
of
By 8
the
you
ages
should have
of
been doing it.
maximum influence are between 7 to 14.
No. By 9, you've already started. At 14, wameanza kumea pembe.
And
They're teenagers.
ndo nasema
He
maximum
said between
influence.
7 and you.
Of course, you
that's
have to
your
start
age.
early. You
The
have to
seed has
start
to be
before
planted.
7.
The
Yes,
seed has to be
correct.
planted so
Yeah.
early.
The seed has to be planted so
By
early.
8,
Like
if that child is getting to 10, your seeds have already planted. You've already
Yes.
planted those seeds and you're watering those seeds.
Yes, you have to determine those priorities.
Mapema ndio best.
Yes.
Walai bilai.
Yes.
Mapema ndio best, lakini pia we should also consider, like, we have parents who have who come to get with their children later in life, maybe because ulikuja huku umeacha mtoi Kenya,
That's a
it's taken
different
your years
situation.
to settle down ukwaleta huku. So we also have to consider, like, to consider and say, like, yes, mapema ndio best, but any chance you get, what you've learned, what you've get, it's best to share that knowledge and teach that knowledge.
Yes.
Especially if, let's say,
Yeah.
let's say you're bringing somebody into this country, wako high school ama wanaingia college, you have to sit down and start teaching
And
that to
explain
them.
and also explain it. I think there's that thing of I'm your parent, I'm telling you, not okay, this is the way the world is shaped, and based upon the pitfalls and the holes that I walked through, this is what my advice for you is. This is the path you should take. You should go down this way. Boom, 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 boom. Any support you need, I got you. I got your back. But if a lot of times as parents, because of the way we were shaped, by our parents, where it was basically an authoritarian rule where it's like, it's my way or the highway. Basically, if you're living in my house, it's my rules. So that's how things were brought down to us, and we tend to either replicate that way, or we go the total opposite, where we just let the child go and say, I don't want my child to be the way I was raised up, so I'll let them do whatever the heck they want. And then it becomes too late, because you're back at that point where we're like, they're 20 and you can't shape. And you already see what's going to happen to them, So we really have to be very, we have to be very, I was going to say categorical, but maybe that's not the right word. You have to.
You have to be smart about it.
You have to,
You
okay,
have
smart,
to
but
be
you have to-
cognizant about it. You got to understand.
you really have to pinpoint, right? Go aim for it straight, and don't beat around the bush.
And I
but
think-
explain, because these kids, you have to explain.
And
to
I
them
think you also have to
for them to get
understand.
an understanding.
Yes, I think you also have to understand what other influences are there on your kids outside the home. It's important to have an understanding of those, because most parents sometimes either ignore or don't know, and sometimes you may not be in a position to know everything. This is where having like a village or as a community where parents can sit and discuss these things to help each other, which happens a lot sometimes when we are sitting like in mosques, for example. I don't know how the church setup is.
Same thing.
They talk about these things, like people. I know that's religious institutions are things that are being that people are not quite taking them seriously, but they play a very important role in teaching parents. These are some of the influences that your kids are experiencing when they go to school, when they go to the neighborhood, because the influences are way more. The outside influences are way more than what outside influences we were getting growing up. Because now there's social media, which I think is way more potent than TV. Because TV was restricted, what shows are showing, what shows kids are watching. But with the internet, there are so many other things. And then there are so many things, like my nephews were telling me that drugs are a normal thing. They are a very normal thing in America. You went to an American school.
I was going to say, I have something to say,
Yeah, so you probably know that better than any of us. Me, the first time I was like, drugs, I was completely shocked.
Opioids,
and they were
drugs.
shocked at me being shocked. When my nephews were telling me, they were shocked at me being shocked. They were like, Allah, Kwani, you didn't know? This is very normal. People come and sell this stuff in school. And those are the things that a lot of African parents,
they don't know.
they're oblivious.
And
They don't
vaping.
know.
So, you know,
By the way,
like-
vaping is
That's another thing.
So like being Kenyan American, right? Kenyan American, right? I would say Kenyan American. right? So everybody, he makes fun of me because my Swa is awful, but my Kikuyu is ridiculous because of my mom. Only thing she talked to us is in Kuk since 1989.
I felt that.
Yes, because the parents, they were always like,
that influence that you guys are talking to, she never,
you see, you
she
have
never,
it for a lifetime.
and I've had it for a lifetime.
Yes.
Now they never talk to me in Swa, so that's why my Swa is awful.
Okay.
We'll fix that. Don't worry about that.
Your Swa is different.
No, at a small fee. At a small fee. Yeah,
a
commercial lending fee. A commercial lending
I got
fee.
you.
Yeah.
I got you. Have it. 50
But like I
bucks.
said, you can't redirect, a guy who's like 75 and try to teach him Swahili like, hey, mambo vipi kaze, whatever. It's a process.
Yeah, it's a process.
It
It's
is.
a process.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, so
Well,
you can pay.
and even the process is who you put yourself around, right?
Yes.
So I always say this, right? I'm extremely Kenyan during the summer. Find me in January, American, because we don't interact.
Got it. The
You know,
outdoor
like we're
activities.
not hanging out.
The Kenyans hang out outdoor activities.
Summertime,
around
correct.
Yam
I am
Chom,
a-
gathering.
I'm a
Got
beast.
it.
But in January,
Got it.
I'm as American can be,
Heather, Jake.
right?
Eating
Oh,
cheese
And Amber,
sandwiches.
don't forget Amber.
Amber.
Don't forget
As
about
apple
Amber.
pie.
Yeah.
As apple pie,
That's why sometimes we don't take you places.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Dang.
So